You have felt it, haven't you? That strange stirring deep inside. A quiet question that no priest has ever answered. A silent mystery the church never dares to speak of. Why does power, holiness, sainthood always come wrapped in suffering and secrets? Listen closely, my friend, for what I'm about to reveal may shake the very foundation of what you believe. There was once a man whose name was erased from the records of the Vatican, a man who disappeared into the shadows of history. His robes were taken, his title stripped, his face forgotten, until now, and standing before him is the Pope himself. Not just any Pope, but Pope Leo XIV, the most mysterious pontiff the world has seen in centuries. You see, this is not the story of cardinals plotting in secret. This is not the tale of scandal or corruption. No, this is something far deeper. A wound buried in the bones of the church. A hidden sin that whispers through marble halls and golden altars. And tonight, that secret breathes again. Imagine it, behind the locked doors of the Vatican, where no cardinal, no bishop, not even the Swiss guard may enter. Two men meet, one crowned in white, carrying the weight of the church, the other, a ghost from the past, trembling in fear. Pope Leo XIV, and the man who abandoned him, his own father. Yes, you heard right. The bishop the world thought long dead, the man the Vatican swore had vanished forever, Anelmo Duarte. A father in exile, a child made pope, and a prophecy too dark to be spoken aloud. Why did he leave? Why hide the truth? Why was Leo XIV's very birth erased from the records? Was this holy man, this pope, meant to be more than the vicar of Christ? Was he born for something unthinkable? Something the Vatican could never allow the world to know? And now, face to face, father and son, priest and pope. The unspeakable past cracks open. What you are about to witness is not simply confession, not forgiveness, but the beginning of a revelation that could tear the church in two. Why did Duarte flee in the night? Why did he leave his son behind, to rise alone into the throne of St. Peter? And more terrifying than this, what secret door did he guard? What hidden right did he steal from the archives? A right that even the oldest popes feared to speak of. A door beneath the Vatican, a threshold between life and death, heaven and hell. A door that only one man can open, and that man is Pope Leo XIV. But you, my friend, you are here now, drawn to this mystery not by accident, but by the hand of fate itself, because before this night ends, before this secret is buried again, you will know. You will understand why the Pope kneels alone in the dark, why the stigmata marks burn on his hands, why the bells of St. Peter's will toll at midnight for the first time in centuries, and why the threshold, the forbidden threshold, is about to open. Do you feel it? The weight in your chest, the quiet trembling of the soul. Good. Stay with me. Stay to the end, because when the final truth is spoken, you will never look at the Vatican or the Pope the same way again. The Vatican's halls have kept secrets for centuries, but none like this. Whispers of saints, echoes of martyrs, footsteps of popes long dead. Their presence lingers in these stone corridors. But tonight, even the walls hold their breath. A private audience was summoned. No Swiss guard to stand watch, no cardinal to listen, no secretary to take notes, just two men and the unbearable weight of truth. One, dressed in papal white. A man called the servant of the servants of God, the fisherman, the rock of Peter, Pope Leo XIV, and the other, a shadow, a ghost in the flesh, Anelmo Duarte, the father who vanished, the priest who fled, the man whose name has been forbidden from every Vatican record. No one else was permitted to hear what was about to be spoken. No one else allowed to witness the breaking of this ancient silence. The heavy oak doors groaned shut behind them, their iron bolts sliding into place with a sound like the closing of a tomb. The chamber they stood in was not the papal apartments, not the throne room of gold and velvet. No, this was the crypt chapel. a place few have ever seen, a place where the oldest popes are buried, and where no living man dares to whisper the forbidden names written in the lost books of the Vatican archives. Flickering candlelight made their shadows dance across the cold marble floor. The scent of old incense clung to the air, mixing with the distant smell of damp stone. In the silence, only the soft sound of breathing could be heard. Pope Leo stood still, his hands clasped tightly before him, the white knuckles betraying his inner fire. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with questions, with rage, with a yearning that no papal title could ever heal. And across from him, kneeling, trembling, the old man who should never have been seen again, Anelmo Duarte, his cassock tattered, his hair white as ash, his face lined not by age, but by guilt. His eyes never dared to meet the gaze of the son he abandoned. And yet, here they were, father and son, pope and traitor, the destined child, and the man who tried to erase him from history. Why now? Leo's voice broke the silence, soft, low, dangerous. Why return? After all these years? Why now? But there was no answer. Not yet. Only the trembling of old hands, clutching a rosary that had not been prayed in decades. The chamber grew colder, as if the stones themselves remembered the sin that hung in the air. A distant rumble of thunder rolled through the walls, far above the Vatican dome. A storm was gathering, not only in the sky, but in the heart of the church itself. And as the two men stood locked in this silent confrontation, the invisible eyes of history watched. The spirits of the past leaned closer, and the secrets of the church, the ones sealed for generations, stirred in their restless sleep. For what was about to be spoken, what was about to be confessed, could break the church in two. But Duarte had not returned for forgiveness alone. No, he carried something far darker, a truth so dangerous, so forbidden, that even the Holy Office, the old Inquisition itself, would have burned him alive for daring to speak it. But now, it was time. The silence was breaking. The threshold of truth was about to be crossed, and the world was not ready. Not for what Pope Leo XIV was about to hear, not for what the church had hidden beneath its marble altars, not for the reason this forgotten father had been erased from history. A secret audience, a trembling confession, and the sound of destiny cracking open, like ancient stone giving way beneath the weight of heaven itself. Stay close, my friend. Listen carefully, because what comes next will change everything you thought you knew about the Vatican, about the papacy, about faith itself. For centuries, the Vatican has kept watch over mysteries the world was never meant to see. Scrolls locked beneath 7 seals, books that whisper when opened, rituals performed in shadows where no sunlight touches, but none like the secret that now sat between Pope Leo XIV and Anelmo Duarte. The air itself seemed to tremble, as if the stones of the chapel strained to hear the words about to be spoken. Duarte finally raised his eyes, and when he did, they were full of something no man expects to see in a bishop's gaze. Fear. They told me to vanish, he whispered, voice thin as parchment, cracking with age. They said the child must never live, that you, my son, were a danger, a hinge upon which the fate of the church would turn. They told me you were the threshold child. The room went still, as if all of heaven leaned closer to listen. Pope Leo's face did not change, but his heart pounded like the great bells of St. Peter's at midnight. What threshold? He asked softly. What did they mean? And the old man shook his head, tears pooling in his weary eyes. The threshold is not a door, my son. It is you. You are the living gate, born from prophecy, shaped in secret, a vessel for what they fear most. The moment when the world of men and the world of spirits can no longer remain apart. For a moment, the only sound was the faint crackling of the candle flames, as if the fire itself recoiled from this terrible revelation. And then, Duarte reached into his robe, pulled forth a single, brittle parchment, yellowed with age, edges burned, words written in Latin so old it crawled like worms across the page. Pope Leo's eyes narrowed. He recognized the mark, the forbidden sigil of the liminal thresholds, a secret order of Vatican scholars disbanded, condemned, erased after the Second Vatican Council. "This," Duarte whispered, holding the parchment as if it were poison, "is the prophecy they killed to keep silent." And there, on the page, written in a trembling hand, "Born not of chance, nor of sin, but of sacrament and blood, the hinge upon the world shall walk among men, crowned in white. When the threshold opens, he alone shall choose salvation or destruction." The words hung in the air like smoke. Pope Leo felt the weight of centuries press upon his shoulders, the lonely prayers, the visions, the strange marks that had bled upon his palms since childhood, marks no physician could explain, no priest dared to name. And now, he knew. "Why?" Leo asked softly. "Why did you leave me? Why let me rise, without Father, without truth, into the throne of Peter?" And Duarte crumbled, falling to his knees, clutching the parchment to his chest. "Because they would have killed you, my son. The cardinals feared you, the Curia feared you, even the old Pope Benedict. He warned me. He said your birth was the danger they foresaw in visions. They ordered me to smother you in the cradle, to end the prophecy before it began. But I could not. I fled. I hid you. And for my disobedience, they erased me, banished me, made me a ghost to save your life." Silence again. But this time, the silence burned, like fire beneath the marble floor, and slowly, Pope Leo XIV stepped forward, the glow of the candlelight catching the faint scar-like marks in his palms, shaped like small crosses? No, like keys to a door unseen by mortal eyes. "You speak of thresholds," Leo murmured, "of doors that should not be opened. But where is this door? Why do I bear these marks? What am I meant to unlock?" And Duarte, his voice breaking into a sob, whispered the words that froze the heart of the pontiff. "Beneath the Vatican, deeper than the necropolis, past the sealed catacombs of the first martyrs, there is a chamber no one dares enter, a door that has been closed since the age of Constantine. They called it Porta Infernalis, the infernal gate. And now, the thunder above broke into sound, a low, distant roll, as if the skies themselves were warning the earth. But Duarte continued, desperate, shaking, confessing before heaven itself. "That is why they made you Pope, my son. Not because of faith, not because of virtue, because of fear. Only you can stand before that door. Only you can stop what waits behind it, or release it. You were born not to wear the tiara, but to decide the fate of the world." Pope Leo's breath slowed, his gaze distant, as if seeing into the dark corridors beneath Rome, as if hearing in the deepest silence a whisper calling his name. And you, listening now, you feel it too, don't you? That cold weight behind the heart, that dreadful pull of curiosity. What lies beneath the throne of St. Peter? What secret the Church buried so deep that even its popes are not told until now? A threshold, waiting for its key. And Leo XIV is that key. But what will he choose? To open, to seal forever, to save, or to destroy? The answer has not yet come. But the door beneath the Vatican, is stirring. And the Church will never be the same again. But wait, this meeting, this hidden confession between father and son, it was not the end. It was only the beginning. For as Duarte knelt, his tears falling upon the ancient parchment, the silence broke. A faint sound, soft, subtle, a creak, like stone grinding upon stone, far below them. Pope Leo heard it, felt it, a vibration beneath the soles of his papal shoes, a distant stirring, as if something deep beneath the Vatican had awakened. His eyes sharpened, his breath slowed, and then He spoke, calmly, coldly. "What have you done, Anelmo?" The old man trembled. His lips moved without sound. Then he gasped, "I opened the way, before I fled, the ritual, incomplete, unfinished. I thought if I broke the seal, it would never rise, but the door waits still, and now it calls for you." Pope Leo XIV closed his eyes. For a moment the weight of heaven and hell pressed upon him. This was no mere family tragedy, no forgotten scandal of the church. This was the ancient fear. The reason why popes never sleep soundly. The reason why, for centuries, the fishermen of Rome whispered prayers not taught in any catechism. Prayers to keep the earth quiet, the stone unbroken, the gate shut. Because beneath the catacombs, beneath the tomb of St. Peter himself, there was a door, and now it was waking. The markings on Leo's palms burned faintly, like hidden embers. He glanced down. The shapes there, crossed lines old as Eden, etched by no earthly blade, glimmered softly in the candlelight. Not wounds, not stigmata, but seals, sigils, keys. "What lies behind it, Father?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Tell me what waits beyond that gate," Duarte groaned, his head bowed to the floor, his voice cracked, dry, brittle, broken. The first word, the breath before creation, the voice that spoke before God said, "Let there be light." It is bound there, sealed in flesh and fire, and if it speaks again, the world will end. The candles guttered, flickered, as if afraid. Leo felt the cold grip of dread curl around his heart, not fear for his life, not even fear for his soul, but fear that the church itself, this mighty, towering rock built over 2,000 years, had been but a wall to cover this unspeakable thing, and that he, Leo XIV, was chosen not to lead the faithful, but to stand before that door and choose, open or shut, light or darkness, the new age or the end of all flesh. His voice cut the silence like a blade. "Why me, Anelmo? Why was I marked?" The old man shuddered, his face hidden against the stone. "Because you are the hinge, born in secrecy, baptized in the forbidden rite, the last living key of the threshold. You are the one who will decide, not the curia, not the cardinals, not the princes of the church, you." And in that moment, Pope Leo felt the full weight of destiny descend upon him. His birth, his rise, his isolation, all threads in a tapestry woven by hands unseen, pulling him toward this moment. "Then the choice is mine," he said softly, "to open or to seal forever." But even as he spoke those words, the faint, grinding tremor beneath the marble floor pulsed again, louder, nearer. The door below was not waiting for permission. It was waking on its own, and for the first time in his life, Pope Leo XIV felt fear, true fear, because what stirs behind that door may be older than time, older than angels, older even than sin. And the Vatican, the mighty fortress of faith, may have stood all these centuries, not to guard the world from evil, but to keep the world from what lay beneath, a secret older than the church itself. And now, that secret had turned its gaze upon him. Duarte raised his trembling hand, his voice cracked with terror. "You cannot stop it, my son. The door will open. Soon, soon. And when it does, all of heaven and hell will hear the sound. And you listening now, yes, do you feel it? The breath of something ancient on the back of your neck, the chill in your bones, not of wind, but of truth. For this is not legend, not myth, not forgotten scripture. This is real. And the man who holds the key, the only key, is Pope Leo XIV. But what choice will he make? Will he open the gate and unleash what waits, or seal it forever and carry the curse until death? No answer came that night, only silence. A silence thicker than stone, deeper than time, and the faint sound, faint as breath, of something stirring in the dark below the Vatican, waiting. And the world is not ready. But you must be, because this story is not finished. not yet. But ask yourself, why now? Why has the door stirred after centuries of sleep? Why has the earth beneath the Vatican shifted, breathed, as if restless in its tomb? It is because the time of the threshold has come. All the signs, the silent omens you were never told about, they have gathered. The birds that refuse to fly over St. Peter's Square, the strange tremors in the necropolis, the whispers in the Swiss Guard barracks at night, voices speaking Latin no one remembers teaching them, and deeper still, the dreams. Yes, even Pope Leo himself, these many nights past, has awoken in a cold sweat, the taste of ash on his tongue, his ears filled with the same dreadful voice, a voice that says only one word, over and over and over again. Aperi, open, the old word, the forgotten command, spoken before mankind ever learned to pray. And now, the choice that should have belonged to angels, to the thrones and dominions above, falls to one man in white, bearing the ring of the fisherman, wearing the weight of prophecy like iron on his shoulders. You see it, don't you? This was never about simple faith, never about rituals or relics or the solemn weight of ancient dogma. No, the church itself was built as a lock, and Pope Leo XIV is the key. Duarte knew this. The secret bishops who vanished into exile knew this. Even the silent curia, those old pale men who glanced nervously at him in the Sistine Chapel, they know this, and they are afraid. Because once, long ago, when Rome was still young and pagan blood stained her stones, a door was opened, and something came through. A force neither angel nor demon, a thought so vast, so terrible, that the earth itself cracked. A thought that men would later call the first word, the voice that spoke before creation. And when Constantine converted and raised the first great basilica atop this holy hill, he was not only worshiping Christ, he was sealing the breach, brick by brick, stone by stone. The church was not just the bride of Christ, it was the lid on the box. But lids can shift, seals can crack. And now, because of prophecy, because of betrayal, because of fate, that door stirs once more, and Leo must face it. Can you imagine, brethren, to stand before such a thing? To hold the power to free or to bind the oldest voice in the universe? The church whispers in fear. The cardinals lock their private doors at night. They sense what is coming. The bells ring strangely at dawn. The marble of the basilica feels colder beneath the feet. Even the doves refuse to perch upon the cross of St. Peter. And below, far below, the door waits. Duarte, exhausted, broken, whispered one last warning before he fell silent forever. You must choose soon, my son, before the door chooses for you. Because the door is alive, brethren. It thinks, it remembers, and after centuries of sleep, it is hungry. And what does it hunger for? Not flesh, not blood, but freedom, to speak again, to unmake the world with the first word. And Leo XIV, the threshold child, the key born in secret sin and hidden grace, stands alone between this force and the world of men. What will he choose? To open and bring the new age, one promised in whispers since the garden itself, or to seal the gate and die with the secret, so that mankind may stumble blindly for another 1,000 years? But beware, for such choices are never without cost. To open may cost the church its very soul. To seal may cost Leo his life. Even now, in the hidden corridors beneath the Vatican, the guardians stir. Those silent monks in hoods of grey who have no tongues. Their duty to watch the door, to bleed if needed to keep it shut, and they have felt the change. Something presses from the other side, a shape, a whisper, a desire, aperi. The word haunts them in their sleep, and Leo feels its call as well. He stands now before the great crucifix in his private chapel, alone, his palms burning faintly, his breath shallow. Lord, show me the way, he whispers. But the heavens remain silent, because this path is his alone. And you, listener, you who sit in the comfort of your home, safe in your understanding of the world, you must wonder, what would you choose? To open the door and face the truth, or to leave it sealed and live a lie? But the choice is no longer distant, no longer hidden, for the door awakens. The world will feel its tremor soon. The Vatican's bells will toll with strange tones. The sky over Rome will darken, and Pope Leo XIV will descend alone into the earth, to stand before the threshold, the final key, the final choice, and the fate of the Church, of the world, of all creation, will rest in the trembling hands of a man who was never meant to be Pope. Prepare yourselves, brethren, for the door is stirring, and soon it will open. The next chapter will change everything. But there is something else, something even Duarte dared not say aloud. A secret buried beneath all the others, a mystery hidden not in stone or parchment, but in flesh and blood. You see, Pope Leo XIV was not merely marked by prophecy, he was made for it. His very birth, his breath in this world, was the result of an ancient rite, a forbidden liturgy, lost to the Church but whispered among a shadow order long erased from the records. They called themselves Custodes Limen, the keepers of the threshold, priests without parishes, bishops without flocks, guardians not of souls, but of doors. And Leo, the boy who would become Pope, he was their final work, baptized not with water alone, but with oil mixed from the lamps of the catacombs, anointed not at an altar, but beneath the broken arch of the first temple. A child whose destiny was sealed not by man, but by something older, and that seal burns now. Even as Leo stood in his chapel, whispering desperate prayers to a silent God, he felt it, the marks on his palms, faintly glowing like embers in the dark, not wounds, not scars, but ancient sigils, the language of the first voice itself, a key of flesh. His breath faltered, because deep within him, beneath thought, beneath memory, something stirred. A whisper not his own, a word pressed into the marrow of his bones, hidden since birth. A peri, the command, the summons, the unlocking. No prayer could silence it, no rite could banish it. Because Leo XIV was the gate, and it was beginning to open from within. He staggered, gripped the marble altar to steady himself. The crucifix above him loomed huge, distant, as if seen through water. His vision blurred, his ears rang, and in that ringing, another voice, older, gentler, terrible in its beauty. Filium meum, my son, do not be afraid. You were born for this moment. You are the threshold. You are the way. Leo gasped, not the voice of Christ, not the whisper of an angel, but the first voice itself, the word before words. It had reached him. It knew his name. His fingers trembled against the altar. His knees buckled. For in that instant, he saw. He saw beyond the walls of the Vatican, beyond the veil of time and matter. He saw the great wheel of worlds, spinning slow and vast. He saw the hidden door at the heart of creation, its seal glowing, cracking, and he saw himself, Pope Leo XIV, standing alone before it, the only soul who could choose to open or to seal, to bring the new dawn or the final night. Tears ran down his cheeks, his voice broke in the silence. Lord, why me? Why was I made for this curse? And the answer came, soft, loving, cruel. Because only the broken can remake the world. Only the abandoned can choose its fate. And you, Leo, have been abandoned since birth. The child without a father, the Pope without a flock, the man without a past, the perfect key. He wept, not for fear, not for doubt, but for the terrible beauty of it all. For he knew now, beyond all doubt, that no matter what he chose, the world would never be the same. And the door, oh, the door, was waiting. Even now, beneath the marble, the ancient stones shifted. The guardians in the deep stirred. The bells of St. Peter's groaned on their ropes, and the sky above Rome darkened as if holding its breath. Somewhere, in the crypts, An old iron seal cracked. Dust of centuries spilled into the cold air. And the door, the hidden threshold, whispered to him, "Aperi, aperi, aperi." Open. He fell to his knees. "Forgive me, Father, for I do not know what I will choose." But there was no answer, only silence. The same silence that waited in the beginning, the silence before the first word, the silence that would fall again if the door ever opened wide. You feel it now, don't you? The chill, the breath upon the back of your neck, the tremor beneath your feet. The Vatican is holding its breath. The Curia whispers behind locked doors. The Swiss Guard load their weapons in secret. The hidden orders awaken in their sanctuaries because they all know. The door is stirring, and the key, Pope Leo XIV, is slipping from their control. The time is coming, brethren. Soon, very soon, he will descend into the deep, alone, and what he chooses will not only decide the fate of the Church, but of the world itself. Prepare your hearts, pray while you can, for when the door opens, everything you believe, everything you trust, may be undone, and the first word will speak again. And so, brethren, we arrive at the edge of knowing, the edge of fear, the edge where history itself holds its breath. Beneath the stones of the Vatican, beneath the golden glory of 1,000 years, the ancient door shudders in its sleep. Its seal weakens, its hunger grows, and Pope Leo XIV, the key born of prophecy, the child of the threshold, stands alone. Not even heaven speaks now, not even the saints dare to look, for this is no longer a matter of faith, no longer the work of prayers or penance, no longer about the dogma of men. This is older, darker, holy in a way that terrifies the angels. He will descend, he will stand before the door, and what he chooses, to open and awaken the first voice, or to seal and bury the truth forever, will not merely shape the fate of the Church. It will unmake the world, or make it new. You feel it, don't you? The silence before the storm, the shadow beneath the cross, the distant tolling of bells that no hand rings. Even now, the whispers rise. Even now, the stone shifts. Even now, the breath of the door brushes against the living world. Soon, brethren, very soon, the threshold will open, and when it does, nothing, no pope, no priest, no prayer, will stop what comes through. The Church will tremble, the earth will shake, the sky itself may darken, and all because of one man, one broken man, one forgotten son, Pope Leo XIV. Pray for him, pray for us all, for the door awakens, and the world will never be the same.